Greetings, my people of the tarot. This is a VR to Queen Ausset, and hopefully I can get through this in one take. Just by the way, I respect her very much. I can see her heart, and I like what I see. Humanity right now, in my opinion, is on a very slippery slope. And we are all in brave danger. That part said. I stayed awake last night because I had all these thoughts going through my head of what I really wanted to say and get that out there. Because I believe I have a lot to share. I have a lot of knowledge. I've been on this planet for 58 years. So that has granted me perspectives. And because of my being, it has shed a lot of perspectives on watching and observing people. So this is about my experience and why I do not identify myself as a white person. I don't even like to say that word because that has nothing to do with the human being that I am. That is, I describe myself as a human being, period. And here's a little bit of background. I grew up surrounded by people like me of European descent who were English, Scottish, Irish, Italian, French, Spanish, German, Polish, or a mixture of those. That was what I see when I went to school. Those were the faces that was reflected back at me. I never felt like I fit in with those people. I was blessed to know both my grandmothers, and I was asked them if I was Native American because that's what I identified with. I did not identify with that probably because being a sensitive, being intuitive, and being psychic, I was picking up on the ancestors that were under my feet. The ancestors under my feet are Native American and have been for thousands of years. So that's what I was picking up on. And then the monthly gatherings, I went to my other grandmother's. Monthly gatherings of my relatives. I did not fit in there either. But there was one person in that family that I felt and I feel and I love today with all my heart. When I think of love, and how that is expressed and what love means to me. The first person that I loved outside of my immediate family, where I really never felt acceptance anyway, you would term that his skin tone, that he is black. And if you ever see this video, Mike, I love you to this day, and I have never, ever stopped loving you. Because as I got older, I started to notice that he was treated differently. That there was this divide of, we could love him, embrace him, but other members of my so-called family were brainwashed into the narrative of the day, which was the 60s. And I grew up, I am not that far from Boston. And so on my mass hysteria media, the big campaign then was busing. And that was something I could never understand. It didn't make sense to me. I could not understand separateness. I could not understand or comprehend that skin tone had anything to do with a human being. And people will label me as the R word because of this way I see things, and that's why I see things as I do, because that divide has robbed me of knowing my cousin, knowing his life, knowing what he went through, understanding that having a relationship with this person because of what society dictates. Because you see, people, we have the puppet masters, and they pull the strings. And it doesn't matter. I think we call them the 1%. Doesn't matter. You know, they pull the string, and some people say, how high? And everyone falls into that narrative, and they believe it as truth. And they believe it so much that it's the truth, that it becomes the truth. You know, like thoughts are powerful. Thoughts are forms. They can become reality. Thoughts are so powerful, they can literally make people physically ill. That's how powerful thoughts are. So I'm kind of going all over the place. And in my mind, I had how succinct I would talk about this VR. But basically, my point is, we better face the damn shadow side pretty damn quick. Because if we do not come together as human beings, as humanity, we are on the precipice of losing everything. Everything that anyone holds sacred. And my God, I cannot help but think about the children. Everybody's children. What kind of world do you want to leave for them? Do you think them walking around like this? Do you think that is healthy for your children? Do you think, don't get an arm's reach within me? Do you think that has anything to do with your health? That this is going to protect you from anything? No. Yes, I'm all over the place, but it's all about the same thing. It's all about it's about racism. It's about the term WP. That just makes my skin crawl, because WP to me is just another way of saying supremacy. It's just another way of saying it. But I would encourage you to learn your own history. If you look at your own history, we are not that much different than you think. Unless you are Native American and you have ties to the Native American community, we are all immigrants. Every single one of us are immigrants. We are walking on the back of the Native American ancestors. You cannot hide from that fact. It doesn't matter how you got here, how your ancestors got here. We are walking on the backs of Native Americans. We are literally walking on their dust, on their bones. So number one, to me, inclusivity includes acknowledging that fact that none of us, unless we are Native Americans, are indigenous to this country. We all came here in myriad of ways, and no matter what, for some of our ancestors, it was a life and death struggle even to arrive here. Honor that. Honor that we are all human beings and we all have inherent rights. No matter what, we all have rights. And some of the principles of the country called America are good principles. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to breathe should be a right. It's an inherent human right. Freedom to feed yourself. These are all freedom to have a roof over your head. All these are at stake now. That's what's at stake. Queen Ausset said we need to break the systems, and she is so right. One term is colonism, and what you won't find this in the history books, but colonism swept across the whole of Europe before it even got to this country. We have all been colonized. And so we need to break and smash that system, because it goes so deep that most people can't even touch the surface of how deep it goes. It goes so deep that you think just because you have a certain skin tone and it seems that the big puppet masters have the same skin tone, that they care about you. They don't. They care about the bottom line. They care about profit. They care about me. It's like I don't even think they're human. These puppet masters, they have disconnected. It's this Three of Swords. The Three of Swords to me is that disconnect between the mind and the heart. And that is basically what is wrong with the whole world now, is they are disconnected from the head and the heart. You know, when you're really young, you most of the mind comes from the gonads, because that's what drives you. But as you get older and mature, you need to connect that with your heart and then connect that with your head. And what happens, most people are like, and now we got this going on. You can listen to it. Right? You couldn't understand a word I said. So that's a big issue. I can't see, you know, can't see a smile, can't see a frown. So this issue of breaking this system, and so inclusivity is one part of breaking the system. Perhaps that, because that's on the surface right now, we need to smash that, because it's ridiculous. Ridiculous is not the right word, but it's like you have to reach people at the heart level and get them to use critical thinking, because I'm going to refer to my video, The Grand Illusion, because I did talk about this subject. And the grand illusion is how these puppet masters, this, I'm going to call it a Luciferian agenda, because I can't think of any better word, have been controlling things. And we, the people, have allowed them to control things instead of connecting our heart and our heads and using critical thinking to use our own discernment and look beyond all these issues. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The roots of this go so deep that if we don't unify, we won't be able to hear, we won't be able to speak. So we must come together, we must unify, we must heal all these ancestral wounds. You know, we're coming up on Samhain, and that's about honoring the ancestors. So I think we need to honor the ancestors of where we walk upon first. And start from there. And that's inclusivity to me. And then we honor all the immigrants and the backs of those immigrants that we walk upon too. We got to begin kind of where we know to begin, because actually this goes back thousands of years, this agenda. So I really rambled, but I hope you take something away from this, that to listen to everybody, no matter their skin tone, hear them, hear what they are saying to you. No matter what, listen to what they are telling you. Do not believe the mass hysteria media, because they are not about telling you the truth. They're about sensationalism, and they're about selling. The bottom line is to make money, and that sells. So I guess my biggest takeaway I want to impart is to listen to what other people are saying. Throughout the mass media, listen to the people that are out there every day, everybody that's out there in the field, everybody that is in these situations, to listen to what they are saying, because that's where the true wisdom lies. It doesn't come from a square box, although I'm coming from a square box now. And just a couple of now maybe I'll save those for later, but because I don't know if anybody will stay with me, because I probably lost everybody at the beginning. But it really is about critical thinking and connecting from the heart, and not disconnecting. Because once you disconnect or never connect these two, then you are not coming from a space of compassion and heart and humanity. Because I believe true humanity is a heart. It is critical thinking. It is seeing everyone as a sister and brother. And that what separates us is really the grand illusion. I don't believe we're all one, But it's that grand illusion that we are separate, that we are not interconnected. We are all interconnected. We make a weave. We make a blanket. We all have a thread to bring to the table. And that is that interwovenness. And each thread has its own color. Bring that color to the table. Because this is an artwork and I'll leave you this with some artwork. It's not finished, but I'm working on. And it's called Freedom. Freedom comes from the heart outward.